If you've been following the twists and turns of Asian geopolitics, then what's happening between Vietnam and China right now deserves your attention. It's not just another trade deal. It's not simply another headline in the never-ending story of regional power struggles. What we're looking at is the opening of a brand new chapter in one of Asia's most complicated relationships. One shaped by centuries of rivalry, conflict, uneasy peace, and now, cautious cooperation. Vietnam's decision to accept a significant offer from China is more than a diplomatic handshake. It's a move that could alter the balance of power in the South China Sea, shake up alliances with the United States and its partners, and raise fresh questions about the future of Southeast Asia. For Vietnam, it could be an opportunity. For China, it's a calculated step forward. And for the rest of the world, it's a development that demands close watching. Before we dive deeper, if you're finding this analysis valuable, please consider giving this video a like and share it with others who follow international affairs. Your support really helps bring more light to these global shifts. Now, let's explore why this moment matters so much. Vietnam and China don't just share a border, they share centuries of tension. From the earliest days of Vietnamese independence, China's influence loomed large. Dynasties clashed, wars were fought, and yet Vietnam survived, often defined by its resistance against bigger powers, especially its giant neighbor to the north. Even in modern times, scars remain. One of the sharpest came in 1979 when Vietnam and China fought a short but bloody border war after Vietnam's intervention in Cambodia. The fighting lasted only weeks, but the wounds, tens of thousands killed, and decades of mistrust never really healed. Against this backdrop, it might seem surprising that Vietnam is now warming up to China's latest offer. And that is precisely why this move is such a turning point. China's proposal to Vietnam is multi-layered. At the center of it is infrastructure. Railways, ports, and new economic corridors under Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. One major highlight is a high-speed rail link between Hanoi and Kunming in southern China. Such a link could transform trade and movement, knitting the two economies closer together. But infrastructure is just the beginning. The deal also includes the creation of high-tech economic zones in Vietnam, funded largely with Chinese capital. This could supercharge Vietnam's growing role as a manufacturing hub, but it would also deepen its economic reliance on Chinese companies and expertise. And then comes the most controversial part: joint energy exploration in the South China Sea. For years, Vietnam has clashed with China over reefs and islands in these waters. For Vietnam to agree to cooperate with China there, no matter how carefully worded, is nothing short of a seismic shift. On the surface, the answer is simple: pragmatism. Vietnam's economy is growing rapidly, but growth needs fuel, literally and figuratively. Energy, technology, infrastructure, all of these are in short supply. Western partners like the US and Europe have helped, but their investments often come with strings attached. Governance reforms, human rights conditions, or slower timelines. China, on the other hand, offers speed. It offers big money without lectures, and it offers proximity. Sharing a border makes cooperation logistically easier. But beneath this pragmatism lies risk. By saying yes today, Vietnam may be staking parts of its long-term independence on a partnership with the very power it has historically feared. Will the trade-off be worth it? That's the gamble. And I want to hear what you think. Do you see Vietnam's move as smart pragmatism or a dangerous concession to Beijing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read your perspectives, and they often bring out insights this channel can't cover in one sitting. For decades, the South China Sea has been Vietnam's fiercest battleground for sovereignty. It's not just about oil and gas reserves or fishing rights, it's about pride, history, and survival. Vietnam has lost ground before, most notably the Paracel Islands in 1974, and it has defended every inch since. That's why this new joint exploration idea is so explosive. Is Vietnam softening its stance? Is it temporarily cooperating while holding its claims firm? Or is this Beijing's way of pulling Vietnam closer into its orbit? Whatever the case, the South China Sea remains the true test of how sustainable this new partnership will be. So far, the deal is being sold as economic. But few in the region doubt that it carries military undertones. Chinese access to Vietnamese ports, even just for resupply, would give Beijing new reach. Cooperation in cyber defense or artificial intelligence, areas often blurred between civilian and military use, could quietly expand China's influence in Vietnam's security landscape. Vietnam has long prided itself on independence, refusing military alliances and balancing carefully between powers. But the deeper its economic ties with China grow, the harder it may be to say no in the future. That balancing act could become a tightrope. Washington, to put it bluntly, did not expect this. The US has invested heavily in building closer ties with Hanoi, seeing Vietnam as a key partner in countering China's rise. Naval exercises, state visits, expanding trade, it all seemed to be moving in one direction. And then came this surprise. Other Asian nations are also watching closely. The Philippines and Japan, wary of China's maritime expansion, worry that Vietnam's cooperation could weaken regional unity. Within ASEAN, countries like Cambodia and Laos already tilt toward Beijing. With Vietnam now shifting, the balance inside the bloc could tilt further, straining its unity. Of course, Vietnam's leadership points to the benefits: jobs, modern infrastructure, technological leapfrogging. But the story of Chinese investment abroad is a cautionary one. From Sri Lanka to parts of Africa, debt dependency and political strings have followed big-ticket Chinese projects. Vietnam knows this risk, but whether it can avoid it is another matter. And let's not forget public opinion. Vietnamese nationalism runs deep. Anti-China protests have erupted in the past when people feared too much influence. Leaders in Hanoi will need to sell this agreement carefully, balancing the lure of economic growth with the equally strong need to protect sovereignty in the eyes of their citizens. So here we are, a country at a crossroads. Vietnam has long been admired for playing a clever balancing game between bigger powers, extracting benefits from both without fully leaning on either. This new deal could be another example of that balancing act. Or it could mark the start of a tilt toward Beijing that will reshape the region. The uncertainty is part of what makes this moment so important. And it's also why people around the world, from Washington to Tokyo, from Manila to Brussels, are paying such close attention. Vietnam's acceptance of China's offer is bold, risky, and historic. It's a gamble that could redefine not just Vietnam's role in Asia, but the very balance of power in the region. Will it be remembered as a masterstroke of pragmatism, or the first step toward dependence on a larger neighbor? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. The decisions being made today in Hanoi and Beijing will echo for decades, shaping alliances, economies, and security in ways we are only beginning to grasp. Thank you for watching. If you found this discussion insightful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss future analyses. Your support keeps this channel going, and I truly appreciate you being part of the conversation.